Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is BSCat100, and welcome back to some more Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations Turnabout Ablaze. In the previous episode, we had stripped Ambassador Alba of his title of ambassador. He's not giving up, though. So, we need to find out how he moved the body from Alba to Babel through the security measures. That's what we're going to do, so let's get started. If you like what you see, leave a like down below, comment if you have anything to say, subscribe to me if you haven't already, and share with your friends so they can enjoy this for themselves. After I returned to Alabasta, I had my picture taken with the Steel Samurai, shaking hands. And just as I was about to start my speech, the Yatagarasu appeared. I feared for the national treasure, so I raced back to my office. Really? That's it? Is that all? Yes, that's all. Oh. It looks like you left out a few things, such as the murder of Damask too. Furthermore, you left out the part about meeting with me in your office. Ah, those trifling matters. I don't believe I needed to speak of them. I do so hate to waste time. What? You. Is not every life precious? Do you really need me to answer that for you? Objection! People like you cannot be allowed to wander freely through society. Then you better try hard, because I doubt you'll find a single contradiction. He's really full of himself, isn't he? Yes, he is. How can he be so confident at a time like this? Come, don't be shy. Go ahead and ask whatever you like. Okay. Obviously it's not the end yet because we don't have the Allegro version. Haha. Music references to help find what the hell I'm doing. Anyway. Hold it. So why was it only with the Steel Samurai? I thought the Pink Princess was also around. The Pink Princess was suffering from bad hip at the time, and the doctors recommended that she rest. Well, that is true. Wow. So you do have a soft side after all. The pain of a bad hip. I suppose none of you can really understand how it feels. Oh, so you do tend to strain your back as well, huh? Is that because you're normally all hunched over? You didn't need to keep up the act, no matter what, I suppose. Huh. The point of this is not to discuss my back problems. For about 15 minutes after our handshake, I was in my office preparing for that speech. Then, just as I was about to start my speech, the Yatagarasu appeared. Hold it! That Yatagarasu was just a trick that you had set up. A most amusing joke, and how do you propose that I set it up? If you really want to know, I can explain it in detail for you. You arranged the spotlights in the rose garden so that when you were to take the stage, the audience would see the Yatagarasu's shadow. Oh, that is an interesting tale. Sadly, it has nothing to do with me. You. What's it gonna take for you to fess up to anything? Ugh. Very well then, let's move on to a different question. After the Yatagarasu appeared, what was the state of the Rose Garden? Everyone took refuge inside the embassy. I even helped with the effort. And then, once everyone was inside, well, I feared for the national treasure, so I raced back to my office. Hold it! What happened after you returned to your office? I don't want to keep on repeating this, however. Upon my return, I had the stroke of bad luck and bumped into Mask Man. And I don't want to keep on repeating this either. But his name was the Mask too. Huh. Who cares about what he was called? By the time he got to the prima duck statue that he was supposed to steal, he had already been swapped out for the fake. Talk about an unlucky man. Being bludgeoned to death with a fake statue. This one Karma is really letting her whip fly now. Ah! The scary part is her silence when she's doing it. She must be at the limit of her patience as well. But physical attacks are meaningless here. Only evidence will suffice. Ugh! I can't find a single flaw in his argument. At this rate, I won't be able to prove that he was actually guilty of anything. Are we finished here? Miles Edgeworth? Can you not come up with any of this how the body was moved to Babel? Sir! Mr. Edgeworth! Ugh. Even after proving so much, is he going to get away with it? Ugh. Is this the end? It's the Steel Samurai? I refuse to voice her. No! The two people that I wanted to see the least. Larry! What are you two doing here? Way to show your gratitude, Edgy. You just wanted to help, yeesh. I'm gonna get the bad guy with a single thrust of my samurai spear. Objection. Go away. I refuse. Well, I wonder who's the samurai kid. Well, isn't this grand? And I see they managed to find the Iron Infants. Does that really matter right now? Hey! Is it just me, or is the Iron Infant completely soaked? Oh yeah. I found him in Babel, but he was in the middle of the pool. Wait a second. Larry, go back to what you just said. Huh? Oh, it appears that we made it not that far back. Something about finding the Iron Infant in the Babel. In Babel? And he found it in a pool. I don't recall there being one in Babel. Oh, that! Well, I was in Alba the whole time. So I have no idea how the Iron Infant wound up in Babel. I thought I had lost him in the Rose Garden. But I guess maybe this kid can swim, huh? Wait, what? Larry! You lost the Iron Infant in the Rose Garden? Are you sure about that? Yeah, I'm sure. But I found him in... Hold it! That's enough, Larry. The Iron Infant that Larry lost managed to move between the two countries. Furthermore, the Iron Infant was found soaked in the middle of a pool. This is what I've been looking for. It's another smuggling route between the countries. Okay. Son of a... Go away! Stop it! The key to the route that the Iron Infant took to travel is, what? Bilateral symmetry. That's right. This embassy was built with bilateral symmetry in mind. Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir! There's a location I wish for you to examine post-haste. It is where I believe the route used to smuggle Mr. Cochin's body lies. Does something like that really exist, sir? An embassy built on bilateral symmetry, meaning that this is where we need to examine. Right, well, let's get a little bit more accurate, because I can. Take that! Yes, sir! Be back before you know it! Better run! Time lapse. It's too late. It doesn't matter now what you do. It's all a waste of time. Just saying something in this voice that I can't read right now. You will stay here with us and wait. This is Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth! It's here, sir! There's a reservoir here, just like in the Rose Garden. Just as I suspected. What is it? The two sides of this embassy are mirror images of each other. Which means that there is also a pool of the corresponding location on the Ablaze side. Mr. Cochin's body was moved into Babel through the pool in Alba. Putting the topic with a vague answer like that is unbecoming of a prosecutor. You fucking hypocrite. If you don't mind, I'd like to see more physical proof if you have any. I have proof. That one useless piece of evidence that you thought... Okay. The Iron Infant is positively soaked in water. Why do you think that is? It's because he was fished out of a pool, and not just any pool. It was the Ablaze one. It's pretty obvious at this point what must be true. The water reservoirs and the two courtyards are connected. Where's your proof that the two sides are connected? Objection! I need to eat this pepper. The proof is right there before your eyes. The half-drowned Iron Infant. What? This blasted doll? Hi, Gumshoe. Miss Edgeworth! I'm back! me! Don't tell me! You guys figured everything out without me. We did, thanks to this hero of Justice's son. Even if he is just a doll, he managed to help foil the villain. Excuse me, I can't. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor. Look, I don't want to say this, but it's kind of unlikely that the body just happened to have passed on through the Babel. This guy's a doll and he's small, so I can believe it made it through, but... Here's a point. Yes, that's right. I'm glad someone here understands. Mr. Edgeworth, are you going to next propose that a dead body can swim through a pipe? See, Mr. Prosecutor? A chase after this man. It's far from over. Not really. Agent Lang! Why is he helping Mr. Alba out now? He's not. He realized a flaw in my argument and is helping to move the logic along. In which case, I should return the favor and find an answer. And another thing, Mr. Coachen's body was found in his office in Babel. So what happened to his body after it was transported to up in their stage? Perhaps Mr. Alba had a... Oh, excuse me. Mr. Alba had an accomplice in Babel, remember? You mean shi-na, right? With her there, you can see how it is possible to move the body up to the office. Objection! Or she is seriously claiming that she swam through the connecting pipe with the body. He's right. Miss shi-na would drown if she did that. It's hard to imagine that she swam through the connecting pipe. Looks like your hypothesis about how the body was moved is only still half baked. In the end, it's all just befuddled musings of an accusatory man. My God, Alba, why is your voice so horrible? Now then, I believe you should give up and allow me passage. As from the start, there was no feasible method of transporting the body. What? Mr. Prosecutor, recall shi-na's movements. Ugh. What was happening in the MC around the time Miss shi-na was in Babel? If only there was a way to get rid of the water in the pool. But some of you saw this coming a mile away. Get rid of the water. Aha! That's it! Now I believe this time we are really done, right? Objection! Unfortunately for you, it's far from over, Mr. Alba. You're a most persistent man. Are you saying that you've thought of a way to move the body through the water? Move the body through the water? That is completely unrelated to how it was done. Excuse me? The reason I say that is because there wasn't any water there at the time. What do you mean, there wasn't any water there at the time? Because whatever. Just what it sounds like. Tonight's events made it possible to drain the water, allowing the body to be moved. The fires in Babel. Take that! Tonight, the yacht also set fire to a variety of locations in the Babelese embassy. In order to put up fires out, much of the reservoir's water was used. Of course, when the water was used, the reservoir's water level went down. If enough water was drained, the connecting pipe could be used to traverse the border. Huh! So what? The water level went down. The reservoirs were connected. Does any of this matter? You can't prove any of this. Pretending to be ignorant won't work with me. We both know what kind of situation we're in right now. Even in a game, there comes a critical game-changing moment. A moment in which you hit the wall that you must overcome in order to beat the game. I haven't lost yet. I found the route you used to smuggle the body, and that route will lead to your defeat. Even if all the water was used by the firefighting effort, you can't really call that a smuggling route. I know that. I should have figured that you would notice. Hey, Mr. Alba, how deep are those pools anyway? I'll have you know that those pools are extremely deep. And there are no ladders or footholds along the walls either. It would be difficult for shi-na to hold the body and climb up out of the pool. Ladders or footholds along the walls? There was no need for such things. What do you mean? If one were to use a certain something, they could go up or down in the pool at will. Oh, looks like you got an answer already. Well, what are you waiting for, Mr. Prosecutor? Enlighten us already. The way in which Miss shi-na and the body were able to rise up to ground level. If there was a way to control the water level, that could be the way the body was moved. This was used so that the body and Miss shi-na could move up and down in the pool. Take that! Mr. Abba used the fountain spouts in a manner of speaking. Use the fountain spouts? How? The water level in the pools can be controlled by opening and closing the spouts. Miss shi-na and the body were lifted upwards by the buoyancy in the water. The fire on the Ablaze side and the firefighting effort. Those were set in motion all for the sake of smuggling Mr. Coach's body. Ugh! Shall I show you where the final destination of my train of logic leads? First, Mr. Alba closed the fountain spouts in advance to prepare for the thing to come. Then he took the pushcart Then he took the pushcart that was brought to the rose garden and pushed it along with the iron infant and Mr. Cochin's body into the pool. At this time, Miss shi-na was busy conveniently starting the first fire in Babel. Then she made for the open-air stage's pool to wait for the firefighting effort to begin. When the firefighters used the water in the pool, the water level went down. And by the time the fire was put out, the pipe between the two pools was exposed. That is when she pushed the pushcart from Alabast into Babel. Once that was accomplished, Mr. Alba simply opened the fountain spouts once more. And the water level rose up to its original level along with Miss shi-na and the body. Excuse me. For some reason I turned American. After that, Miss shi-na used the pushcart to carry the body up to the Secretariat's office. There was an elevator in the embassy after all, so you see. Even with her small frame, she could have easily transported Mr. Cochin's body. And that wraps up my thorough explanation of how the body was moved. Gah! No! Well, ex-Ambassador Alba, what do you think? Not so untouchable without your precious extraterritorial rights to protect you, are you? I knew you could do it, Mr. Edgeworth. Way to fight back. You accuse me of moving the body across country lines. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty, you don't have what it takes to indict me. The nitty-gritty? What does the old man want now? Proof. I believe what he seeks. Yes, proof. Without any, who's to say whether or not any of what you said happened? He wants proof? What are we going to do, Mr. Edgeworth? There's no need to worry. I've had all the proof we need all along. The body wasn't the only thing to go through the pool's connection pipes tonight. Just as Detective Gumshoe found the pushcart in the open area stage, so too did I find one other item there. And that piece of evidence is what will prove the pools was the smuggling route. Remember that one insignificant item that you thought would never, ever, ever, come in handy, and it was just a random chance thing? Well, any Ace Attorney game will show that if it's in the court record, or the organizer in this case, it's going to be used in one time or another. Take that! And what exactly is this? You have no idea, do you? This little piece that I found on the Beverly side will be on your undoing. A guitar pick. Would you care to explain how that is going to do me in, as it were? Much to your chagrin? Perhaps, but this is not a guitar pick. What? This is something I found at the open-air stage which was transported with the body. I naturally assumed that you would recognize it, since you took a photo with it after all. But since you don't, allow me to fill you in on what I found what it actually belongs to. Well, none other than the murder weapon. It is the missing piece. Take that! Let's take a good look at the murder weapon that was used to kill Cochin. On the handle of this knife there is a beautifully blooming flower. However, it would appear that it's missing a single petal. Ugh. Now let's see what happens when we try to fit this pick into that open slot. Excuse me. It's a perfect fit? It's a perfect fit! I assume that the petal must have fallen off the flower during Mr. Cochin's murder, and then it was accidentally placed into the pushcart along with Mr. Cochin's body. Objection! That's an interesting story, nothing more. Objection! Oh, I assure you, it's more than just a story, because for some odd reason this flower petal was wet when I found it. It was wet, you say? Yes, and the only place it could have gotten wet from is the open-air stage's pool. Now I ask you, how did a part of a weapon which was smuggled into the theater wind up in the open-air stage on the Beverly side of the embassy? I don't think I need to waste any words explaining this, as this pedal explains it all for me. It proves that someone went... Yes! Oh, sorry. Bum bum bum. Bum ba da da da. Alright. It proves that someone went from the Rose Garden's pool on through into Babel. Impossible! People of Zangfa have been waiting to see you face to face, Mr. Alba. I'll tell everyone back home we'll be there soon. You should be happy. Why? Why? It's a little late to be asking that question. You should have known from the very beginning. When you took your first life. No matter how you may plot, wow, this is supposed to be powerful, I'm fucking it up. No matter how you may plot, or how you may try to cover it all up, you could never hide from your crime and what you've done. Because we're here to see to it that justice is served to people like you. You can't call what you've given a perfect argument. Edgeworth is not amused. You know, I don't think this guy's ever going to admit his wrongdoings, Mr. Edgeworth. Because he values himself above all else. People who can't be negotiated with are people who refuse to admit what they've lost. When they've lost. And I believe those kinds of people really exist because everyone breaks eventually. You're right. In that case, I have no choice but to use all the evidence that I have. I'll use it until he breaks under the weight of his crimes. Mr. Alba, I request that you testify once more. This really will be the end of the line. Okay, yeah, we've done a lot. I think we are going to end it off here. In the next episode of Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations Turnabout Ablaze, we are going to go and listen to Alba's testimony one more time. I will see you guys later.